My name is Derek Hayes. I am 19 years old, and 3 months ago, I won $8 million in the state lottery. Nobody knows. Not my parents. Not my sister. Not my friends. Nobody except my little brother. And he only found out because he was the only person in my entire family who cared enough to help me when I pretended to be desperate. This is the story of how winning the lottery taught me more about my family than 19 years of living with them ever did, and how a 16-year-old kid who had almost nothing showed me what family is really supposed to mean. Let me start at the beginning. I turned 19 on September 15th. It was a Tuesday, which meant it was just another day. I was in my second year at community college, living in a tiny studio apartment about 40 minutes from where I grew up, working part-time at a grocery store to pay rent and tuition. My parents had made it clear when I graduated high school that I was on my own financially. They said it would teach me responsibility, build character, make me appreciate the value of hard work. What it really taught me was that I was not a priority to them. My older sister Emma had gotten a full ride to a state university, all expenses paid by mom and dad because she was the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, perfect everything. But me, I was average, B student, no scholarships, no special talents. So I got cut off and told to figure it out myself. I was not bitter about it. Or at least, I told myself I was not. I was just focused on surviving, going to classes during the day, working nights and weekends, living on ramen and dollar menu items, trying to save enough for next semester's tuition. It was exhausting, but it was my reality. On my 19th birthday, I woke up to 0 messages from my family. Not from my parents. Not from Emma. Nothing. I checked my phone 3 times thinking maybe I had missed something, but no, they had forgotten. Or they just did not care enough to remember. Around noon, my little brother Jamie texted me, "Happy birthday, bro. Wish I could see you today, but stuck at school. Love you." He was 16, still living at home, still in high school. He was the only one who remembered, the only one who cared. I texted him back, thanking him, and telling him not to worry about it. Then I went to work my shift at the grocery store, because bills do not care that it is your birthday. After my shift ended at 9, I stopped at a gas station to fill up my car. While I was inside paying, I saw the lottery machine. There was a sign saying the jackpot was up to $8.3 million. I had never bought a lottery ticket before. I had always thought it was a waste of money, a tax on people who could not do math. But it was my birthday, I was tired and lonely and feeling sorry for myself, and I thought, why not? $5 for a tiny bit of hope. $5 to imagine what life could be like if everything changed. I bought 1 ticket, just one. The clerk printed it out and handed it to me, and I shoved it in my wallet without even looking at the numbers. I went home, ate some leftover pizza, and fell asleep watching Netflix. Just another birthday. Just another day of being 19 and broke and alone. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing. It was a news alert. Someone in my state had won the lottery, $8.3 million. Single winner. I felt a little flutter of curiosity and pulled out my wallet to check my ticket. I had to find the winning numbers online because I did not even know what I had bought. I pulled up the lottery website and looked at the winning numbers. Then I looked at my ticket, then back at the website, then back at my ticket. Every single number matched. I sat there on my bed, staring at that little piece of paper, and I could not breathe. This was not real. This could not be real. People like me did not win the lottery. People like me were the ones who bought tickets and lost, helping fund the prize for someone else. But there it was. Every number. Perfect match. I checked it 5 more times. 10 more times. I went to different websites to verify the numbers. I looked up what to do if you think you won the lottery. I read articles about people who claimed winning tickets, and every single thing I read confirmed it. I had won. I had actually won $8.3 million. After taxes, it would be about $5.2 million. $5.2 million. More money than I could really comprehend. More money than my parents made in their entire careers combined. More money than I would earn in 50 years working at the grocery store. My first instinct was to call someone, to scream, to celebrate, but something stopped me. I sat there on my bed, holding that ticket, and I started thinking about what would happen if I told people. My parents would suddenly care about my birthday. Emma would suddenly want to talk to me. Relatives I had not heard from in years would come out of nowhere. Friends would start asking for loans. Everyone would want something. And I realized I did not want that. I did not want people being nice to me because of money. I wanted to know who really cared about me for me. Who would be there for me when I had nothing. Who loved me not for what I could give them, but for who I was. So I made a decision. I was going to keep it secret. I was going to claim the money quietly, set everything up properly, and not tell anyone. And then I was going to test my family. I was going to find out who they really were when they thought I needed help. I spent the next 2 days researching everything about claiming lottery winnings. I learned that in my state, winners could remain anonymous if they claimed through a trust. So I found a lawyer who specialized in lottery winners, paid him a consultation fee from my last paycheck, and explained what I wanted to do. The lawyer, a guy named Richard Morrison, who was in his 50s and had seen everything, listened to my plan and nodded. "Smart kid," he said. "Most lottery winners blow through their money in a few years because everyone they know comes asking for handouts. But you want to be strategic about it. I can help you with that." We set up a trust, something called a blind trust, where the lottery commission would know who won, but the public would not. Richard handled all the paperwork. I took a day off work, drove 3 hours to the state capitol, and claimed my prize at the lottery headquarters. They took photos of me holding a giant check for publicity purposes, but per the trust agreement, they could not release my name or photo without my permission. The money was wired to my trust account, $5.2 million after federal taxes. It hit my account on a Friday afternoon. I checked my phone banking app and saw the balance and felt like I was going to throw up. This was real. This had really happened. Richard helped me set up a proper financial plan. We put most of the money in investments, created a budget for living expenses, set up automatic payments for my tuition, and he gave me a checking account tied to the trust with about $50,000 in it for immediate expenses. But I did not change anything about my life. I kept going to classes. I kept working at the grocery store. I kept living in my tiny studio apartment. I kept driving my beat-up car because I was not ready to reveal the truth yet. I had something I needed to do first. 2 weeks after I won, after everything was set up and secure, I put my plan into motion. I called my mom on a Monday afternoon. She answered on the 4th ring. "Hello." "Hey, Mom, it is Derek," I said. "Oh, hi, sweetie. How are you?" Her voice was distracted. I could hear the TV in the background. "Not great, actually," I said. "I am in kind of a bad situation, and I was hoping you could help me out." "What kind of situation?" Now she sounded wary instead of concerned. "I am really struggling financially," I said. "My rent is due, and I am short. Like, really short. If I do not pay by Friday, I am getting evicted. And I already used up all my paycheck on tuition, and I do not have anything left." Silence. Then, "Derek, you know we cannot just bail you out every time you have money problems." "You have never bailed me out," I said. "This is the first time I have ever asked." "That is not the point," she said. "You are an adult now. You need to learn to manage your money better. Maybe this will be a good lesson for you." "Mom, I am about to be homeless," I said, letting my voice shake a little. "I am not asking for a lot. Just $500 to make up what I am short. I will pay you back as soon as I can pick up extra shifts. Derek, I just do not have that kind of money lying around right now, she said. Christmas is coming up, and we have expenses. Maybe you could ask your boss for an advance, or look into a payday loan. A payday loan. She was suggesting I take out one of those predatory high-interest loans rather than lending me $500. $500 that she had spent last month on a new purse I had seen in her Facebook photos. Okay, I said quietly. Thanks anyway. You will figure it out, she said brightly. You are a smart kid. Oh, I have to go. Your father just got home. Talk soon. She hung up. I sat there looking at my phone and felt something cold settle in my chest. My own mother would not help me avoid eviction. She could, but she would not. Next, I called my dad. He answered while he was driving. I could hear the car sounds in the background. Derek? What is up? I am kind of busy here. Dad, I really need to talk to you about something important, I said. Make it quick. I am heading into a meeting. I explained the situation again. The rent, the eviction, the desperate need for $500. His response was somehow even worse than Mom's. Derek, this is exactly why I told you that you needed to be more responsible, he said. You are 19 years old. You should have been budgeting better. You should have savings for emergencies. This is a consequence of your poor planning. Dad, I have been working 30 hours a week on top of full-time classes, I said. I am doing everything I can. I just need a little help this one time. And what happens next month when you are short again? He asked. No, you need to learn from this. Maybe losing your apartment will teach you to be more careful with money. Tough love, son. It is for your own good. So you are not going to help me. I am helping you by not enabling your irresponsibility, he said. Now I really have to go. Good luck figuring it out. He hung up. My father, who had just bought himself a new car 2 months ago, who took my mother on a cruise last summer, who had no problem spending money on himself and Emma, refused to help me because losing my apartment would be a good learning experience. I was not surprised. Not really, but it still hurt. Next, I called Emma, my perfect older sister. She was in her senior year at the university, living in a nice apartment off campus, being fully supported by our parents while she pursued her degree in business. Surely she would help her little brother, right? Wrong. Derek, I really cannot deal with your problems right now, she said when I explained the situation. I have midterms coming up, and I am super stressed. Besides, I do not have that kind of money. Mom and Dad pay for my apartment and give me a food allowance, but they do not give me cash. So even if I wanted to help, which I am not saying I do, I could not. Emma, I am going to be homeless, I said. Then maybe you should have made better choices, she said. I am at university on a full ride because I worked hard in high school. You barely graduated. You are at community college working at a grocery store because you did not apply yourself. This is just consequences, Derek. Maybe it will motivate you to do better. Wow, I said. You really think I deserve to be homeless because I was not as perfect as you in high school? I think you need to take responsibility for your life instead of expecting other people to fix your mistakes, she said coldly. Now I have to study. Good luck. She hung up. My sister, who I had helped with homework 100 times when we were kids, who I had covered for when she snuck out in high school, who I had supported through a bad breakup last year, thought I deserved to be homeless because I was not as academically gifted as her. I made a few more calls. An aunt and uncle, a cousin who I had always gotten along with, even my grandmother. Every single one of them had an excuse. Every single one of them said no. Some were nicer about it than others, but the answer was always the same. No. By Thursday evening, I was supposedly 3 days away from eviction with nowhere to turn. I had called everyone in my family. I had been rejected by all of them. They all had their reasons. They all had their excuses. But the message was clear. I was on my own. That night, I was sitting in my apartment, feeling a mix of anger and sadness, when my phone rang. It was Jamie, my little brother. "Hey, Derek," he said. "I heard you called Mom and Dad asking for help with rent." My stomach dropped. "How did you hear that?" "Mom was talking about it at dinner," he said. "She was telling Dad that you called begging for money, and they agreed they were right not to give it to you because you need to learn responsibility." Emma was agreeing with them. They were all talking about how you are irresponsible and need to grow up. They were talking about me. I felt sick. "Yeah," Jamie said quietly. They were kind of laughing about it. Like, not mean laughing, but like they thought it was good for you, or whatever. "Derek, is it true? Are you really getting evicted?" I hesitated. This was my little brother. He was 16. He was still in high school. He had no money. There was no point in dragging him into this. "Yeah, but do not worry about it. I will figure something out." "How much do you need?" he asked. "Jamie, you do not have to." "How much?" $500, I admitted. "But seriously, you do not need to worry about this. You are still a kid. This is my problem." "I have money saved up," he said, "from birthdays and Christmas and working yard jobs over the summer. I have about $700 in my savings account. I can give you $500. I felt my throat get tight. "Jamie, that is your money. You have been saving that. You cannot just give it away." "You are my brother," he said simply. "You are about to be homeless. Of course I am going to help you. I just need to figure out how to get it to you, since Mom and Dad definitely will not drive me." "How far away is your next track meet?" I asked. Jamie was on his high school's track and cross-country teams. "We have an away meet on Saturday," he said. "About an hour from where you live. Mom is driving me." "Perfect," I said. "I will come to your meet. We can meet up after." "Okay," he said. "Derek, I am sorry Mom and Dad are being like this. And Emma too. It is not right." "It is okay," I said, even though it was not. "Thank you, Jamie. Really, you have no idea what this means to me." "You are my brother," he said again. "That is what family does." Saturday came. I drove to the high school where Jamie's track meet was being held. It was about an hour and 15 minutes from my apartment, a long drive in my crappy car, but I would have driven 10 hours for this. I found Jamie warming up with his team. When he saw me, his face lit up. He ran over and gave me a hug. "You came." "Of course I came," I said. I would not miss it. I watched him run. He was good, really good. He came in second in his event, and I cheered louder than anyone else in the stands. After the meet ended, we met up behind the school building where his teammates and parents could not see us. He pulled an envelope out of his backpack. "It is all there," he said. $500. I went to the bank yesterday and withdrew it." I took the envelope, and I had to work really hard not to cry. Inside was $500 in cash. Money my 16-year-old brother had saved up over years. Money he had earned doing yard work in the summer heat. Money he was giving away without hesitation because his older brother needed help. "Jamie, I do not know what to say," I said. "You do not have to say anything," he said. "Just promise me you will be okay. And promise me you will not tell Mom and Dad I gave you this. They would be so mad at me." "I promise," I said. Then I added, "I am going to pay you back. With interest. As soon as I can." "You do not have to pay me back," he said. "Just be okay. That is all I want." We hugged again, and I saw my mother walking toward us from the parking lot. "I have to go," Jamie said. "Text me later, so I know you paid your rent." He ran off toward Mom, and I walked back to my car. I sat there for a few minutes just looking at that envelope. $500. My little brother's entire savings. Given without question. Given without judgment. Given because that is what family is supposed to do. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do with my lottery money. I drove home and immediately transferred $5,000 from my trust account to a new savings account I set up in Jamie's name. 10 times what he had given me. Money for his college fund. Money for his future. Money he had earned by being the only decent person in our family. Then I sat down and started planning. Planning how I was going to reveal the truth to my family. Planning what I was going to say. Planning how I was going to make sure they understood exactly what they had done. 2 weeks went by. I kept up the act, texting Jamie occasionally to let him know I was okay. He always asked if I needed more help. I always told him I was figuring it out. The truth was, I was living better than I ever had. I had paid off all my debts. I had quietly upgraded a few things in my apartment. Nothing obvious, but little quality of life improvements. Better food, new sheets, small things that made a difference. I was also working with Richard, my lawyer, on a bigger plan. I wanted to set up a foundation, something to help kids like Jamie, kids who wanted to help their family members but did not have the resources, kids who understood what loyalty and love really meant. We were working on the details, but the basic idea was there. Meanwhile, I had not heard from any of my family except Jamie. Not one call to check if I had figured out my rent situation. Not one text to see if I was okay. Nothing. They had decided I needed tough love, and tough love apparently meant complete radio silence. Fine. If that was how they wanted to play it, I could wait. 3 weeks after Jamie gave me his savings, I decided it was time. Time to reveal the truth. Time to show them exactly who they were. I invited my entire family to my apartment for a Sunday dinner. I said I had important news to share and I really needed them all to be there. My mother sounded surprised when I called. "What kind of news?" "You will find out when you get here," I said. "It is important. Please come. All of you." I could hear the curiosity in her voice. "Okay, we will be there. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, I confirmed. I spent that week preparing. I printed out documents. I made a presentation. I rehearsed what I was going to say. This was going to be the most important conversation of my life, and I was not going to mess it up. Sunday came. At 6 o'clock, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find my mother, my father, and Emma standing there. They looked around my tiny apartment with barely concealed judgment. My mother hugged me briefly. "Well, you are still here. I guess you figured out your rent situation." "I did," I said. "Come in. Jamie should be here any minute." "Jamie?" my father asked. "Why is Jamie here?" "Because I invited him," I said. "He is part of this family, is not he?" They settled on my old couch, looking uncomfortable. Emma was texting on her phone, not even pretending to be interested in why she was here. My father kept checking his watch. My mother was looking at my apartment, like she was mentally calculating how much better her house was. Another knock. I opened the door and Jamie came in. He looked nervous, glancing at our parents, and then at me. I gave him a reassuring smile. "Thanks for coming, Jamie. Have a seat." Jamie sat in the one chair I had while I remained standing. My family looked at me expectantly. "So," my mother said, "what is this important news?" "Well," I said, "about a month ago, I called each of you asking for help. I told you I was about to be evicted and I needed $500 to make up the shortfall in my rent. Do you remember that?" They exchanged glances. My father cleared his throat. "Derek, if this is about that, we already explained our position. You needed to learn. To learn responsibility." I finished. "Yeah, I remember. Mom, you told me you did not have $500 lying around, even though I saw you post on Facebook about buying a new purse that cost more than that. Dad, You told me that losing my apartment would be a good learning experience. Emma, you told me I deserved consequences for not being as perfect as you in high school. Do I have that right? They looked uncomfortable now. Derek, where is this going? Emma asked. I am getting there, I said. So after all of you said no, I was out of options. I was facing homelessness at 19, but then one person in this family stepped up. One person gave me the help I needed without judgment, without lectures, without conditions. I looked at Jamie, who was staring at his feet. Jamie, my 16-year-old brother, who is still in high school, gave me $500, his entire savings, money he had earned doing yard work, money he had saved from birthdays and Christmas. He gave it to me without hesitation because I needed help, and he is my brother. My mother looked shocked. Jamie, you did what? Let me finish, I said firmly. Jamie gave me that money even though it was everything he had, even though he knew you would be mad at him if you found out, even though he is just a kid and should not have had to be the one to help me. He did it because that is what family does. That is what love looks like. Derek, what is your point? My father asked impatiently. My point, I said, is that I wanted to see who you all really were. Who would be there for me when I had nothing? Who actually cared about me as a person and not just as an idea? And I got my answer. All of you failed. Every single one of you. But Jamie, the youngest and the one with the least to give, passed with flying colors. This is ridiculous, Emma said. You brought us all here to guilt-trip us about not giving you money? Grow up, Derek. Oh, I am not done, I said. I pulled out the folder I had prepared. See, here's the thing. I was never actually in danger of being evicted. I had my rent covered. In fact, I had a lot more than my rent covered. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. It was a copy of my lottery ticket. On September 15th, my 19th birthday, which all of you forgot except Jamie, I bought a lottery ticket. And I won. The room went silent. My mother leaned forward. You won the lottery? $8.3 million, I said. $5.2 million after taxes. I won it the day after my birthday, and I have had the money for a month now. The whole time I was calling you desperate for help, I had millions of dollars in the bank. I watched their faces. Shock, disbelief, confusion, and then as it sank in, something else. Regret, anger at themselves, calculation. You had millions of dollars, my father said slowly. And you called us asking for 500? I wanted to see who you really were, I said. I wanted to know who would be there for me when they thought I had nothing. And now I know. None of you cared. None of you were willing to sacrifice even the smallest amount to help me. But Jamie, who had nothing compared to what you all have, gave me everything. Derek, that is not fair, my mother said. If you had known I had money, you would have helped? I interrupted. Exactly my point. You care about me when I can benefit you. When I needed you and had nothing to offer in return, you could not be bothered. Emma stood up. Okay, this is insane. You lied to us. You manipulated us. And now you are mad that we did not fall for your fake sob story? That is on you, not us. I am not mad that you did not fall for a fake story, I said. I am disappointed that you were not willing to help your brother when you thought he genuinely needed it. There is a difference. So what? Emma asked. You brought us here to tell us we are bad people? To rub your lottery win in our faces? What do you want from us, Derek? An apology? No, I said. I do not want anything from you. I just wanted you to know the truth, and I wanted to tell you what I am doing with the money. I pulled out more documents. I have set up a foundation. It is called the Jamie Hayes Foundation for Youth Empowerment. It is going to provide assistance to young people who want to help their family members in need, but do not have the resources. Kids like Jamie who have big hearts and not much money. The foundation will give them grants so they can help without emptying their own savings. Jamie looked up at me, his eyes wide. You named it after me? Of course I did, I said. You showed me what family really means. The foundation is starting with a $2 million endowment. It is going to help hundreds of kids over the years, maybe thousands. Derek, Jamie said softly, tears in his eyes. And, Jamie, I continued, do you remember that $500 you gave me? The money you said I did not have to pay back. Well, I am paying you back anyway, with interest. I handed him a document. It was a bank statement showing an account in his name with $5,000 in it. That is your college fund. It is yours. And there is more where that came from for whatever you need. Books, housing, food, anything. Because you earned it by being a good person. Jamie stared at the paper, then at me, then burst into tears. He stood up and hugged me, and I hugged him back hard. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing me what family is supposed to be, I said. My parents and Emma were sitting there looking stunned. My mother had tears in her eyes, but I was not sure if they were from emotion or from regret at missing out on the money. My father looked angry, like he was trying to figure out how to spin this to make himself look better. Emma just looked shocked. Derek, my mother started, I am so sorry. If I had known. But you did not know, I said. And that is the point. You were not there for me when you thought I needed you. And honestly, I do not think you are sorry you were not there for me. I think you are sorry you missed out on a chance to benefit from my money. That is not fair, she said. You are my son. I love you. Do you? I asked. Because you forgot my birthday. You refused to help when I asked. You talked about me at dinner like I was a joke. That does not feel like love to me. Derek, you are being incredibly unfair, my father said. You lied to us. You set us up to fail. And now you are punishing us for it. That is manipulative. I gave you a chance to show who you are, I said. You showed me. That is not manipulation. That is a test. And you failed. So what now? Emma asked. You are cutting us off. We are not getting any of your money. I never said you were getting any of my money to begin with, I said. This money is mine. I want it. I am using it how I want to use it. And I want to use it to help people like Jamie. People who understand what it means to care about others. You are being selfish, Emma said. That is family money. You should be sharing it. I almost laughed. Sharing it? Like how you shared your college fund that mom and dad gave you. Like how you shared your apartment and your meal plan. You have been taking from our parents for 4 years, and I have not asked for a dime of it. But now that I have something, suddenly I am supposed to share. She did not have an answer for that. I am not cutting you off, I said. You were never on. We can still be a family if you want to be. We can still have relationships. But those relationships are going to be based on who we actually are to each other, not on money. My mother was crying openly now. Derek, please. I am sorry. I am so sorry I was not there for you. I should have been. You are right. I was wrong. I believed she meant it, at least partially. But I also knew that if I had not won the lottery, if I was still just broke college student Derek, she would not be crying and apologizing. She would still think she had done the right thing with her tough love approach. I appreciate the apology, I said. And I am not saying we cannot have a relationship, but it is going to be different now. Because I know the truth. I know who was there for me and who was not. What about me? Jamie asked quietly. Are we okay? I put my hand on his shoulder. Jamie, you and I are more than okay. You are my brother, my real brother, and you are always going to be taken care of. I promise you that. The dinner, if you could call it that, broke up shortly after. My parents left looking shell-shocked. Emma left angry, muttering something about how I had changed and money had made me arrogant. But Jamie stayed for a bit longer. Did you mean all that? He asked when everyone else was gone. About the foundation and the college fund? Every word, I said. Jamie, you gave me $500 when you thought I had nothing. You saved my life. Or at least you thought you were. That kind of loyalty, that kind of love, that is rare, and I am never going to forget it. I just did what anyone would do, he said. No, I said firmly. You did what you would do, what a good person would do. Mom, Dad, Emma, they all had chances to help, and they chose not to. But you gave everything you had without hesitation. That is who you are, and I am going to make sure you never have to worry about money again. Jamie hugged me again. I love you, Derek, and I am so proud of you, not for winning the lottery, but for what you are doing with it. I love you too, I said, and I am proud of you for being the kind of person who gives his last $500 to his brother. After Jamie left, I sat alone in my apartment and felt this weird mix of emotions. Relief that the truth was finally out, sadness that my family had shown themselves to be who they were, anger at their choices, but also gratitude. Gratitude for Jamie, gratitude for the opportunity the lottery had given me, gratitude for the clarity about who my real family was. Over the next few weeks, my relationship with my family shifted. My mother called a few times, trying to repair things. We talked, and it was awkward, but we were working on it. I could tell she was trying to understand why I had done what I did, and slowly, I think she was starting to see my point of view. She apologized multiple times for forgetting my birthday, for not helping with the rent, for talking about me at dinner. I accepted her apologies, but I also made it clear that trust was something that had to be rebuilt over time. My father was harder. He was still convinced that he had been right to refuse to help me, that tough love was the correct approach, that I had been manipulative by testing them. We had a few conversations that went nowhere. Eventually, I told him that I was not interested in arguing about it. He had made his choice, I had made mine, and we could either accept that and move forward or not have a relationship at all. He is still thinking about it. Emma and I barely talked. She sent me a few texts saying I owed her an apology for embarrassing her and tricking her. I did not respond. As far as I was concerned, she had shown me exactly who she was, and I was fine with keeping my distance. But Jamie and I grew closer than ever. He came to visit me at least twice a month. I went to all his track meets. We texted constantly. I helped him with his homework. He told me about his life, his girlfriend, his plans for the future. And I made sure he knew that no matter what happened, no matter where life took him, he would always have my support. The foundation was the biggest project. Richard helped me set it up properly, with a board of directors and clear guidelines for who qualified for grants. We funded it with $2 million initially, and the investment returns would fund future grants. We created a website and application process, and we started accepting applications from young people who wanted to help their family members but needed financial support to do so. The first round of grants went out 3 months after the foundation launched. We gave out 50 grants of $1,000 each to kids all over the state. Kids who were helping parents pay medical bills. Kids who were trying to keep their families from being evicted. Kids who were making sacrifices to take care of siblings or grandparents. Reading their stories, seeing their faces, knowing we were making a difference. That felt better than winning the lottery had felt. One girl, a 17-year-old named Maya, wrote us a thank you letter after receiving her grant. She had been trying to help her mother pay for cancer treatment, and the grant covered 2 months of medication costs. She wrote, "I thought I was alone in trying to help my mom, but your foundation showed me that there are other kids out there doing the same thing, and that people care. You gave me hope when I had none. Thank you for seeing me." I read that letter and cried. This was what the money was for. This was what it meant to win the lottery. not buying fancy cars or big houses or expensive vacations, but making a real difference in the lives of people who needed it. 6 months after revealing the truth to my family, I was settling into my new reality. I had moved out of my tiny studio into a nicer 2-bedroom apartment, so Jamie would have a place to stay when he visited. I had quietly paid off my tuition for the rest of college. I had quit the grocery store job because I did not need it anymore, and I was focusing on my studies and the foundation. I was still driving my beat-up car because I did not see a reason to change it yet. I was still wearing my normal clothes. I was still eating at the same restaurants because the money had not changed who I was. It had just given me the freedom to be more fully myself and to help others be more fully themselves. My mother and I had rebuilt our relationship to something functional, not what it used to be, not what it could have been, but something. She made an effort now to remember important dates, to check in on me, to ask how I was doing without expecting anything in return. I appreciated the effort, even if there was still a part of me that wondered if she would have made that effort if I had not won the lottery. My father and I had reached a kind of détente. We were polite when we saw each other at family events. We did not talk about the past. We did not talk about the money. We just existed in each other's orbits without much connection. Maybe that would change someday. Maybe it would not. Either way, I was okay with it. Emma and I still had not reconciled. She was still angry at me for what she saw as a betrayal and manipulation. I was still disappointed in her for her complete lack of empathy when I had asked for help. Maybe someday we would work it out. But for now, I was fine with the distance. Jamie was thriving. He was doing great in school, excelling in track, planning for college. He knew that money was not a concern for his education, which took a huge weight off his shoulders. He could focus on figuring out what he wanted to do with his life instead of worrying about how he would pay for it. And that was exactly what I wanted for him. As for me, I was learning what it meant to be wealthy while staying grounded. I was learning that money could solve some problems, but created others. I was learning that the best use of wealth was not in what you bought for yourself, but in what you could do for others. I was learning that family was not always about blood, but about who showed up when you needed them. Looking back on the day I bought that lottery ticket, I realize it was the best $5 I ever spent. Not because of the money, though the money was life-changing, but because it gave me clarity. It showed me the truth about my family, about myself, about what really mattered in life. I had tested my family by pretending to be desperate, and they had failed. All except one 16-year-old kid who gave everything he had, because that is what brothers do. That is what family does. That is what love looks like. Some people think I was wrong to test them. They say I was manipulative, that I set them up to fail, that I should not judge them based on one moment. And maybe they are right. Maybe it was not fair to reduce years of complicated family relationships to one question about $500. But I do not think so. I think crisis reveals character. I think the moments when we are asked to sacrifice, to give, to help someone with nothing to offer in return, those are the moments that show who we really are. And my family showed me who they were. They showed me that when it mattered, when I had nothing to offer them, I was not a priority, except for Jamie. Jamie showed me that real love does not calculate. It does not weigh costs and benefits. It does not ask what is in it for me. It just gives because giving is what you do when you love someone. I won $8 million at 19 years old. That money has given me opportunities, security, freedom. But the real prize was not the money. The real prize was learning who my family really was. The real prize was finding out that my little brother was more of a man at 16 than our parents were at 50. The real prize was the clarity to see what mattered and the means to do something about it. So yes, I won the lottery. But the truth is, Jamie was the one who really won, because he had what money cannot buy. He had integrity, he had compassion, he had love, and because of that, he is going to have a future where he never has to worry about money again, not because of the lottery, but because his brother saw who he was and decided to take care of him the way he took care of me. People ask me all the time what I would do differently if I could go back. Would I tell my family right away? Would I skip the test? Would I just enjoy the money without the drama? And my answer is always the same. I would not change a thing, because without the test, I would not have known. I would have gone through life thinking my family cared about me, when really they only cared about what I could do for them. I would have supported them financially, thinking it was what family did, while they took advantage of my generosity. But now I know. Now I have clarity. Now I can make informed decisions about who deserves my time, my energy, my resources. And that knowledge, painful as it was to acquire, is worth more than $8 million. The lottery gave me money, but Jamie gave me something far more valuable. He gave me proof that good people exist, that real love is possible, that family can mean something more than shared DNA. He gave me hope, and that is why every dollar I spend, every investment I make, every grant the foundation gives out, it is all in honor of that $500 a 16-year-old kid gave his brother, because it was the right thing to do. Because if we had more people like Jamie in the world, people who give without expectation, who help without judgment, who love without conditions, the world would be a much better place. I am 19 years old. I am a multimillionaire. I have opportunities most people my age could never dream of. But the thing I am most proud of, the thing that matters most to me, is not the money. It is that when my brother needed to know he was valued, when he needed to know his kindness mattered, when he needed to know that good deeds do not go unnoticed, I was able to show him. I was able to say thank you in a way that would change his life, the way he changed mine. That is what the money is for, not for me. For people like Jamie, for people who have big hearts and small bank accounts, for people who give even when it hurts, for people who understand that family is not about what you can get, but about what you are willing to give. I won the lottery at 19, but I learned what winning really means from a 16-year-old kid with $500 and more love in his heart than our entire family combined. And that is the real jackpot. Thank you for listening to my story of growing up faster than I ever wanted to. I have left 2 more stories on your screen, both from young men who learned that sometimes becoming an adult does not happen at 18. It happens the moment your family needs you to be strong. Click on whichever one speaks to you. And if you want to join our community of people who understand what it is like to be forced to grow up overnight, that notification bell is waiting. Until tomorrow, remember, age is just a number, but courage defines who you really are.